The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily represent those of this station or its management.
This is the Stockwell Roueche Show, giving you real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Josh Roueche.
Good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul. You're listening to the Stockwell Roueche Show every Sunday here at 10 a.m. on AM 1280 The Patriot. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
I'm Josh Roueche, Remax Advantage Plus.
Great show today, right, Josh? We got
We got some great guests today.
20-year former police officer talking about security and how you can be safe this holiday season and probably throughout the year, actually, with that. Because what we learned today or what Joe will be teaching us today will probably practices that we can use throughout the year. So Joe Trout, former police officer, is here. We're happy to have you, Joe. Thanks for coming. He's with Peacekeepers is the name of his company. And he'll be giving us tips, ideas, and things that can keep you safe from theft of packages, break-ins, all the stuff that can happen. That tends to happen a lot during the holiday season when criminals are out there because you have gifts just laying around and
they follow the UPS guy and that FedEx guy, and they know exactly when those things are being dropped off.
Yeah, and then we have Zach Roueche, Premier Group. He is an insurance agent with Premier Group, and we'll be talking about how some of these security measures can help you with your insurance and go over things like that. Welcome, Zach.
Hey, nice to be here, Jason.
And of course, Ryan Yardley, Yard Dog, is here. Marketplace Mortgage. Welcome, Ryan. How you doing?
Great.
So great show today, and we're going to get into that. So first, market update, what's happening in the market in the Twin Cities. Of course, Robin Hartle's here as well. So Robin and Josh will update us on the market update and what's happening in the market, and Ryan will talk about the lending market. I heard rates were actually really good lately, so.
Robin, you want to take it? Or?
Yeah, well, new listings actually decreased just recently, which, again, I mean, we're in a seller's market.
Right.
So if you're thinking, should I sell right now? Should I wait? It's a good time to sell because if you're in a seller's market, it's a really good time to get your house on the market because, sellers are at an advantage right now because there's low inventory. So put your house on the market and, then you've got a good advantage. And sales prices are up. So it's, it's a good time.
I think that's a good one too. The sale prices right now, compared to last year, we're up 5.1%.
Yes, 5.1%.
And that we're coming back to a more traditional market, like we've discussed on earlier shows. We do. Our inventory, and as far as like the state of Minnesota, we are actually in the top 5 as far as foreclosure markets, which means we have the less inventory in the country. We're in the top 5. So we are coming back to a more traditional market. We're seeing the price points up higher than they were last year. The average price point is like at $205,000 for a home sold in the Twin City Metro. So we're at 5.1% from where we were last year.
Yeah, and I think, what the people are saying out there that are forecasting these interest rates is they're saying that come March, those rates are going to go up, is what they're forecasting. So if they're right about that, people that are on the fence, that are kind of waiting, I mean, we're talking about both buyers and sellers. So if the sellers are waiting to put their home on the market, now's a good time to put your home on the market. And then the buyers that are waiting, and now is a good time to buy. So everybody should be doing something now before those rates.
And Yardley, that's a great setup for you. What's the difference of a quarter point to a half a point difference on a rate over a 30-year term? I mean, they're going to be paying thousands and thousands more money.
Well, I know. Obviously, it depends upon the size of the loan, but if you're looking at a 0.25% to a 0.5% more, which clearly can happen. That's, I guess, I would feel that's a safe assumption that it could go up as much as a 0.5%. We've seen a 0.5% to 0.5% slide within the last 12 months. So you're looking at rate range from 3 7/8 to 4 3/8, maybe 4.5. It could be on a bigger loan of $400,000. That could be $100 a month, $90 a month. Smaller,
and then you do that you do that over a 30-year term. You're paying lots and lots of money.
Yeah,
and I heard rates are still. You said 3 5/8?
It depends. 3 and
or 4. I heard some people say 4. I got an email the other day that said rates are at 4 or below. So I know that's an email.
FHA loans are a little bit, but again, so I better with my disclosures. Ryan Yardley with Marketplace Home Mortgage, and my NMLS number, ID number is 1114522. Compliance-wise, we're licensed. We have to do that. Rates, here's the thing, is there's some companies that charge a point of origination automatically, and so if you say, hey, what's your rate? And they say, well, it's 3 3/4, they didn't just tell you how much closing costs comes with that 3 3/4.
Yep.
So there are some companies that charge no points automatically, and their closing costs are very low, and they're going to have a little bit higher interest rate. So what I do is I explain all that to every customer I work with, and I start right off with, okay, here's the spread. If you're going to pay points or pay origination, this is what it looks like. If you're not, this is what it looks like, and I let them choose. Usually the clients don't want a variance of more than a point at a time. If they take no points, then a lot of times they do that, or if they do, they don't pay more than one. My main ruling or reasoning behind that is, if you pay more than a point, if you start to pay 1.5, 2, you're not getting your money's worth. It costs. You're not getting a bang for your buck.
So what I'm hearing, Ryan, is you give the consumer the option. So you lay it out on the table. Here's the option with origination. Here's the option with less, or here's the option.
Yeah.
With
What do you want? As a consumer, you can control your closing costs.
Yep.
You can control it as much as you can choose your rate. And then I just educate them about that so that they can be empowered to make their own decision.
So if you're out there and you're listening and you have a pre-qualification going right now, or you want a second opinion, or you need advice on anything, or you want to compare, call Ryan, 612-850-7500, 612-850-7500. Ryan Yardley with Marketplace Mortgage. Thanks again, Ryan, for the update on that.
Problem.
And Ryan will be happy to help you out. I've seen inquiries increase from a standpoint of consumers emailing in questions about selling their home, getting a market valuation, and also buying. And that's probably because they're looking now, planning on making a move in after the first of the year.
That's good news, because that means there's people out there actually trying to make a plan, get a plan in place. So it's really
and that's what you need to do, is plan ahead. So contact us or contact Ryan, and we'll be happy to help you out so you can have a good plan going into that, because your plan will be better executed if you have a plan. If you don't have a plan.
Plan better if you got a plan.
I've taken apps in the last week for April and May deals with purchase agreements. So what I've seen lately, actually, I don't know if you've seen this, Jason, but I've seen a lot of new construction action going on right now where people are planning, they're looking at it, they're putting together their purchase agreements, and they're coming to me to get set up for what the financing is going to look like in April and May. April 30, May 30 close dates. I've been taking those the last week.
And that's great that people are doing that, because that is a 5-month, 6-month, 4 to 6 month plan ahead, and they're taking the right steps to do that. So that's wonderful that consumers are doing that and buyers are doing that. So market overall good, healthy still. No skies are falling, and everything's good.
Even the numbers, even though we got less listings and than last year, and price points are a little bit higher. I think from what I've seen with my team and what I've got going on, we're busy. We're very busy, which is good.
Busy December, and I've I heard on the radio today, someone said that rates for rents are projected to still continue to climb through 2015. So eventually, if you're out there and you're renting, eventually that's going to get to a point where you're going to say enough is enough. I'm no longer wanting to pay this exorbitant amount of rent when I can buy a home. And that's with the great rates that are there, that's what people are going to do eventually. So I can't imagine how much more they can go up. They've already are at an all-time high in the Twin Cities area for rents. So we'll see what happens next year with that.
Well, and actually, the Home and Landscape Expo is coming up this month,
that's right.
Which we're going to be at. And one of the seminars I'm going to be doing is move-up buyers. Now, what I, am going to be talking about is how the housing market is being driven recently by move-up buyers, but I think that's going to be switching, because as the rents are getting higher, you're going to see those first-time home buyers are going to be saying, gosh, I can't afford rent anymore, and they're going to be looking at that and saying, I can get a mortgage for a lot less than than what I have been spending on rent, and you're going to start seeing that shift because they're saying that they're not seeing as many first-time home buyers as they are the move-up buyers, but I think that's going to start shifting.
That could shift next year.
And
Yes.
I think when we're starting to see a more traditional market, we're going to start seeing that where people are getting rid of that fear factor. Hey, the market might crash here. This is what happened to my parents. Those first-time home buyers are actually
They'll see the opportunity versus renting versus buying. And
Yeah.
so that's a reminder, the 26th, 27th, 28th Home and Landscape Expo at the Convention Center, Minneapolis. We'd be happy to help you out and get you tickets. We'll be there live Sunday, 10 a.m. Robin Hartle will be on KSTP on Saturday morning, talking with them at 8:40 a.m. as well. And
Did we have a contest set up for that, Robin?
Oh, well, yes, we're trying to get people. We have a bunch of tickets to give away. So if you want free tickets to the Home and Landscape Expo, or if you want to give them away as stocking stuffers this year, then we're inviting people to maybe take a picture of a project that you have at home and put it on our Facebook and say, hey, this is a kitchen project that I have. I'd like to redo my kitchen or my bathroom or whatever, and post it on our Facebook and hey, we'll send you.
Or take a picture from Pinterest and put it on.
Yeah.
Say, this is what I want. This is the end result of what I want.
And then if you want to do that, our Facebook page is the Stockwell Roueche Show. Just look up the Stockwell Roueche Show on Facebook and go ahead and post on there.
One last thing I had for Ryan Yardley with Marketplace. I saw a lot of emails coming through and news about was it Fannie Mae reduced the down payment requirement, or who controls that to 3% instead of 3.5% or 5%, or what was it?
Yeah. There's a new. It's funny you bring that up. You were talking about that before you got here. There's a 97% LTV program now that Fannie Mae has that they just relaunched. They used to have it. It relaunched. It's Fannie only right now, from what I understand. Freddie's coming somewhere next year in 2015, and we don't have all the exact details yet. I'll be ready to announce that later. Exactly. We're wanting to know all the details of what the mortgage insurance is. The big benefit for someone to do a 97% conventional loan versus a 3.5% down FHA loan is the mortgage insurance piece. On an FHA loan, the mortgage insurance never goes away over time. If you're still in that house 10 years from now, you're still paying the monthly MI. In a conventional loan, over time, as your equity builds up, you can get the home reappraised and you can get the mortgage insurance reduced or removed.
So that's good news. So more information on that coming.
Yes.
When we come back, we're going to be talking extensively with Joe Trout, 20 years, police officer, owner of Peacekeepers company. So I want to learn more about that, and then how to keep your home safe, how to keep your family safe, your present safe, all those things to keep them safe when we come back. You're listening to the Stockwell Roueche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell.
Josh Roueche.
We'll be back soon. Thanks so much. And as we go out, we're going to listen to
some Bad Boys.
The Bad Boys for Cops Intro.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Where's your mother?
My mom's in the car.
Where's your father?
He's at work.
What about your brothers and sisters?
I'm an only child.
Where do you live?
Can't tell you that.
Why not?
Because you're a stranger.
Nice.
We're back. It's the Stockwell Roueche Show, Sundays at 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Josh Roueche, Remax Advantage Plus.
This week, real estate related, we're talking with Joe Trout, 20-year police officer, owner of Peacekeepers. And Joe, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
There's been a lot going on with police. As anybody, if you haven't heard, there's a lot going on with police lately in the last few weeks here in the United States.
I was stuck in that traffic the other day on 35W trying to get home from the radio show.
Oh, that's right. You called
when
me
I was doing my
there.
promos. When I was doing the promos last week, it was ridiculous.
And you
I was
had
4 hours in traffic.
No idea you end up in 35 in a parking lot, right? And you can't exit.
It took me. Yeah, I left here at 1. I didn't get home till like 4:15.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
Crazy.
And I gave him absolutely just no.
You gave me a lot of praise. Thank you.
Remorse whatsoever. I just lauged about it because I wasn't in it.
And then he
exactly.
And then he took a different route. All right.
So Joe, a lot going on with police. That we can get into some of those issues and some of those topics, and have some questions. I'm sure that that you out there listening will have some questions for a police officer too with the stuff that's going on. But first, we're going to get into how to keep your home safe and things like that. But first off, Joel, can you give us a little history background on yourself, police history, and things like that, and then maybe about Peacekeepers and what
Sure.
that company does?
Yeah. First, I'll address the protesters that blocked the freeway. There was a radio host in Alabama who laid in the middle of the freeway holding a sign that says "Police Lives Matter." So that was the first time I seen that. He blocked traffic.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool. A little counter protest.
So my background is, first of all, I'm married to Robin Hartle. And
Congratulations.
thanks. That's the most important.
That is important. Very good. Very good.
And I started off in security when I was 16 years old. By the time I was 18, I was a professional bodyguard, and I went on tour for a couple of years with some musicians. And I went to school and got my law enforcement degree, and became a police officer. I worked juvenile corrections before that. And as a police officer, I had a chance to work for a sheriff's office, and I worked in the jail division. You see a lot of great things there. And then I also worked 18 and a half years as a patrol officer. And as a patrol officer, I was also a member of our SWAT team for 5 years, and also our field training officer, and a defensive tactics instructor also.
So I bet you have a lot of stories that we could probably
Exactly. We could be on
can
the
take
show
like
all day.
5 shows with just the stories that happen in a daily life of a police officer, right? It's pretty stressful from
It
what I
is.
hear, and there's a lot of intensity, and it's scary, and there's all the above, right?
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is that police officers obviously have fears, and they get scared also. You know, in the media,
Human element, right?
Yeah, in the media they act like police officers are some type of robots or machines. I guess I got out of the business at the right time. But yeah, so I worked at a very, very busy agency, one of the busiest in the metro area, and also a very diverse population there.
Yeah.
But I know this is a real estate show, so
Well, real quick question as far as some questions I have as far as the training, because I'm on Facebook and I'm reading some of these articles, and they said, these police officers, they shouldn't even be police officers because they clearly don't know what it takes, or they're not trained right, or all that. So do you guys do training once? Is it like we have continuing ed as realtors, 15 hours a year? Do you guys do training once a month, once a year?
yeah, to be a police officer in the state of Minnesota, we're really blessed here because we have really good training. Our officers are well trained. You have to have a minimum of 2-year law enforcement degree, which includes 3 months of learning the physical skills of being a police officer, shooting, handcuffing, so on and so forth. And yes, we have continual education and constantly on race relations, different cultures. The agency I worked for was very active in the community. I also have a degree in Christian ministries, so I went to speak at some of the churches with some of the different cultures and how to interact with the police and how we should interact with them. We educated each other. So yes, constant training. Usually I was in training 2-3 times a month. And when you're a new officer, not only do you have to go through school and get hired. And a lot of agencies these days, they want a 4-year degree. And once you're hired, then you have to go through a field training program, which lasts several months. And then after that, I was a mentor for some of the younger officers. So you go through a mentor program, and they make sure you get lots of continuing training especially when you're a young officer.
Really? And one of the problems I see with all the stuff that's going on is it seems to be growing this swell of people that are disrespectful or don't want to respect the law. Is that because of the music? Is that because of? There's a zillion reasons why.
There's a ton.
How do you guys get trained on saying how do you train kids or young people to respect authority when they're wanting to just go against it and they think it's cool and they see it on TV or a movie or something and someone.
It usually starts at home, and that's the hardest thing to see. Yeah, you arrive on a call, and the first thing the 2-year-old child is told by their parent, they usually have one, is that, if you're not good, he'll take you to jail. So they're taught to fear the police.
Oh, so right away they're scared.
Hey, I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Don't do that. You're not supposed to
I'm
do
just
that.
as guilty. Right.
So they're taught to fear the police right away instead of respecting them and realizing that they're just human beings. And when I was a juvenile corrections officer, I actually put together a program when I worked at Hennepin County Juvenile Detention Center. And I let the inmates, the kids that were there, play the role of a police officer, and the staff, we played the people that were committing offenses. And it was amazing. The kids always overreacted and want to hit us with their nightclub and shoot us.
I imagine.
And so I'd ask them,
It's like Cowboys and Indians.
My
They
son would want
freeze.
to. He'd be like, get him.
well, when I asked them, I made the training very realistic. They said they were afraid, and that's why they overreacted.
Yep.
And so I tried to explain to them, because a lot of them had bad contact with police. I mean, there's sometimes you just have bad contact, and not all police officers are created equal, just like real estate agents, doctors.
Yep.
There's some out there that are embarrassing, that you have to work with them. But I was really blessed because I didn't have that at my agency. But yeah, so these kids are taught right away not to respect the police. And they have no idea what we do, because all they see is a uniform. They don't even see a face.
Yeah, and then they're well. So, Joe, what can we do? Oh, Peacekeepers. What is that about, and what does that entail?
Peacekeepers is a business that we own, and we do concealed carry classes, and we also do firearm sales. And we're in the process of getting our private investigator license and our security license. And I also do security consulting for some companies. And we've been around since 2012.
And so if you want to do concealed carry, you'd go through a class with you. You would conduct a class.
Correct.
Or then you can buy a firearm that you can legally carry.
Correct.
And if you walk through the process of how to do that, and if you're out there listening, you think, oh, I should probably have this, or I've been thinking about it, you can walk them through all the steps of that.
Yeah, and to contact me, they can contact me at jtrout@peace-keepers.com. That's jtrout, trout just like a fish, at peace-keepers.com. Or they can call the office number at 612-564-8911, or my cell at 612-290-1420.
So jtrout@peace-keepers.com.
Correct.
So as far as keeping safe during the holidays, as far as mainly you safe as a person, but a lot of people,
the family safe at home,
the family,
and stuff,
but
right?
a lot of the times you see these, it's gifts stolen, which no lives are.
And believe me, Jason's been
taken,
forwarding me a bunch of articles on Facebook last.
There's some
3 or
crazy
4
stuff.
nights.
I'm amazed at the crazy stuff that people do out there. I'm just blown away when you go on and you see these news reporters and they post these stories and you're like, what in the world are people doing? But mostly it's about, you see a lot of package thefts going on, break-ins and stealing us gifts from the tree. What can you do? What can we do to prevent that? Because that could lead, let's say the person is carrying something, a gun, and they come in and break in, and then you catch them or something, then you could have a situation, right? Or a worse situation.
Correct, yeah. Not only have I seen that in my employment, but one of our neighbors, that happened to him. He came home and caught a burglar in his house, and he was shot.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
Wow.
And we live in a very safe and good neighborhood, but so it can happen anywhere,
Wow.
And as far as safety, I mean, the most important thing is that you know your neighbors. You need to go out. If you're not a person that knows your neighbors, you should know every neighbor that you have. If you want to bring them all muffins or cookies here at the Christmas time, but you should get to know them and start a relationship with them, and then you can let them know once you know them. If you see any other car besides this car and this car at my house, it's not us. If you don't see our cars, could you call 911 and have the police check it out? Or if you see anybody, climbing in through my window, and it sounds really weird that I say that, but so many times when I was investigating a burglary, I'd check with the neighbors, and they said, yeah, I saw some guy climbing in their back window, but I just thought it was a friend of theirs. Now, I personally would think that if someone's climbing through the back window, they don't belong there.
Yeah.
But, so if you got that going, and if you're expecting a package, and if you have neighbors that and especially some that are retired, and they're usually retirees on every block, or someone that maybe is disabled and they're at home, or they work nights, let them know, hey, I'm expecting a package, and you can leave a note for UPS or FedEx or whoever it is that, please deliver this over here, or have your neighbors.
Or have it delivered to the neighbor that's home. That's a good idea. That's a great idea.
And if the neighbor, also have them check, because sometimes
I'm glad you're talking today, because I'm a divorcee, and my ex used to shop a lot. And hearing you talk, I think that's a good idea to help reduce the online shopping.
Right. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I thought the first thing when he said that you should go to meet all your neighbors is to make sure that none of your neighbors are shady.
They're the ones
There's that too.
And actually, most burglaries are someone from the neighborhood, or someone that visits their home. And so, if you have nice motorcycles and tools and stuff, and you keep your garage door open a lot, and you have some shady neighbors, which all neighborhoods have them, you need to know who those people are too. And once you get to know your neighbors, you'll know which ones you probably can't trust. And then you probably will have someone that's a little close to you in the neighborhood, and you guys can take turns keeping an eye on them. And almost every neighborhood has, block captains and neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
And you really should get involved in that stuff. I mean, if you really value your family and your property, it's very important to get involved with your community.
Yes, that's a good tip for that. So Joe Trout, former police officer with over 20 years experience. Peacekeepers is the name of the company. They do conceal and carry training and will help you in gun sales even. So if you need to walk through that process, you can reach out jtrout, JTROUT at peace-keepers.com. And thanks for being here, Joe. We'll have more questions, too, when we get back. When we get back, Zach Rue is going to be talking about insurance and insuring your home and how some of these things that Joe's talking about might benefit you with your insurance. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Josh Roueche, RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Thanks again, and we'll be back.
I say we can go where we want to, a place where they will never find. And we can act like we come from out of this world, leave the real one far behind. And we can dance.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Oh, man, it's going to be a lot of movie time for me. I'm writing all these movies down that I haven't seen in a while. You're listening to the Stockwell Roueche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Josh Roueche, RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Safety, security, how to keep your home safe, and also insurance and some of the benefits of being safe we'll do for insurance. We have Zach Rue here with Premier Group. Zach, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing, Jason?
Great. We're talking about... So, Zach, you're in insurance. And
yep, I'm an insurance broker in Maple Grove, Minnesota. Represent roughly 27 of the top carriers in the Minnesota and Wisconsin markets. I write in Minnesota and Wisconsin.
You do? Okay, great.
Yep. A lot of people have cabins in Wisconsin, so it just made sense to be licensed in both states.
And you're from there, so you're a Packer fan.
Hey.
Oh, we don't need to do that. They're doing way better. So
they are. I'm just...
So, Zach, as far as... So you do insurance on basically anything, right?
Yep.
So
home, auto, life, small businesses, umbrella policies, recreational vehicles. Big
and
this time of year, people are buying their snowmobiles.
And the company is Premier
Group Agency.
So what's different from your type of company than, say, a State Farm or all these guys I see on TV nationwide with Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson? And all. I mean, what's different?
We don't have a quarterback. We're trying to get Mitch Wagner. I have a buddy that played quarterback in high school. And
I did. I was quarterback back in the day.
There we go. Okay.
There we go.
He's way cheaper than Russell Wilson.
Way cheaper.
Right.
Give me a Chipotle on there.
Basically, my company is a broker shop where I'm representing a lot of different insurance companies. So initially in our first appointment, I'll get your information, and then I shop all of my carriers with your information. And then I'll come back to you with 4 or 5 different options that provide the appropriate coverage for you. And let you compare the prices, deductibles, and things like that.
So it's more options so there's a possibility of having better coverage or better rates.
And better rate,
when you
better options.
Shop it out to people.
Right. It's like if you're going to go shopping for shoes, you don't necessarily want to go to the Nike outlet because you won't get to compare it to Reebok and Adidas.
Yeah, got it.
You're able to compare, coverage from each different company as well as the pricing.
Cool. So, Zach, what we were talking there on break there about some of the things that you had a story about someone who recently did. It's been on the topic of security, who did some security system for their home, and they saved money on that as well.
Yep. Earlier this week, I had a young lady who purchased a home, actually in Blaine, a couple months ago, and they had a security system installed. And it's central office reporting. That means if there's a break-in, your pipes freeze, there's a fire, smoke, it's going to report right to the central office, which is going to report that to the fire department, police department, however that may work. Now, I didn't ask her how much her security system costs. However, she saved, in her case, it was 10% on her homeowner's insurance, so she's going to save $120 this year on her insurance. Now, I know there's some pretty affordable security system options out there. They range anywhere from $20 a month up to $60 a month, depending on what kind of system and how large your house is and what type of protection you want. But a good way to offset some of that price will be in your homeowner's insurance.
You actually get a credit.
That's great. You're limiting your risk with that. And I can see why
that essentially itself. I mean, not to use your name, Joe Joe Trout, the police officer, but that's a peacekeeper in itself. Having the security system set up on your home can give you peace of mind.
Yep.
And it can prevent theft. Or is that probably why they give you a discount, because there's less likely to have a theft? Is that
Yep.
right?
And when somebody breaks into your house and they hear alarms start going off, they're not very likely to shop through your house and get your iPad and your computer. And another thing we were talking about is, I think of my house. If somebody breaks into my house, they might steal a couple TVs, my laptop, iPad, my Kindle.
Yeah.
All that stuff added up together might be, a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
I have $1,000 deductible. So,
so
I'm
when
not
you file
going
a claim, you're still going to pay $1,000 of all that stuff. Yeah.
Right, I would have been better off having a security system or at least locking my doors, which a lot of people don't do.
Which I find that's just crazy, especially in today's world.
I think
people not having a security system or even locking their door.
Yeah, maybe they don't want to pay for a new door jam. I don't know. Joe, what's your experience with break-ins? You probably have been on calls for burglaries, I'm sure.
Well, first of all, if your property is only worth $2,000, you need to get better stuff.
Well, I have kids. I can't have better stuff.
That's true.
In my 20-year career, I've taken lots of burglary reports, and I've taken a lot of damage to property where doors were kicked in or windows broken. And when people have a security system installed that is monitored, I personally have never taken a burglary report. Those always end up being a damage to property report because people break in, they hear the alarm system start to go off, and they hightail it out of there.
Oh, so they don't proceed on with the plan. When going into the home, they run, and they can't get anything. They don't have time to get anything out.
Yeah, and, of course, most officers I know, including myself, we have security systems at our home. And one thing I'd like to mention, since we're talking about homes being broken into, the thing that irritates police officers more than anything is when you have firearms in your home and you don't have a safe.
Locked up.
Yep.
Right.
I've taken burglary reports where people have lost 100 guns out of their house, and now those guns are floating around the street.
Oh, I can imagine.
So
in a criminal's or in a burglar's hands, who may not
exactly, and they're being sold 2, 3, 4, 5 times in just a couple of days. And then the police officer gets involved in a shooting. It's all because someone didn't lock their guns up, and so you can get a pretty decent safe for about $500 to $700.
So that leads me to a question on this. If you have if the purpose of having guns or a gun in your home, let's say, is for protection, if someone were to break in your home, how are you going to run over to the safe, undial it or whatever, and then get your gun, or you store your guns in your basement or something? I mean, what's the protocol with that as far as someone who does own a gun?
There's a couple different things. It depends of who's living in your household. If you're living alone, it's a way different scenario. But they now make safes that go right in your nightstand drawer. So it goes inside the drawer, and it's just fingerprints. So you just put your fingers down and unlocks the safe in your drawer, and you can remove. So you can keep one.
Stuff. That's awesome.
So you can keep one firearm by your bed at night when you're going to bed. Or they even make holsters that connect to your bed. So when you're home and end in your bed and you don't have small children or anything, you can just keep your firearm holstered right next to you in bed. And if you have a security system, then you know when someone's coming.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You hear that.
So you have some time to and they may probably hightail out of there most of the time, right?
Absolutely. But if they're not, cat burglaries is what they're called when people are at home. They're not as common as burglaries when people aren't home. Most burglaries take place during the day when people are at work. And there's some things you can do to protect yourself from being burglarized. Keep your shrubs cut down low, and instead of having these great big pine trees and stuff around your house where no one can see if someone's standing there and climbing in the back window. And privacy fence are great. They're really nice to have, so you don't have to stare at your neighbors. But if you have a privacy fence, that means also a burglar can get back there and
not
see them breaking in.
Yeah, exactly. So they're less visible.
I think it's important to realize that burglars are looking for the easiest target out there. If they had a lot of ambition, they'd probably have a different job.
Yeah.
So the harder you can make it for them to get into your house, probably the better.
Yeah. So if you have a security system, you're not an easy target because they're displaying, hey, this might be an issue. I'm gonna probably have alarms going off. There better be something very good in there to make this worth it.
Yeah. So if you know your neighbors, have a security system, keep your property locked up, your firearms and your valuables locked up. Even if they do defeat your security system and your neighbors don't see them, and if your stuff's in a safe, it took 6 guys to carry our safe into my house, and we had to take the door frame apart.
Ouch.
So if someone was going to break into my house and we have our valuables in that safe, it's going to take them a while.
Yeah.
Long while.
Yeah. So as far as insurance, Zach Roux, you can call him 763-515 1335. Great partner of the show. He's with Premier Group Agency, 763-515-1335. And Zach will give you a quote. And again, he as a broker, so he can shop many different companies to get you the best scenario.
27, 28?
It's
Somewhere
approaching 30.
Okay.
So
That's great.
yeah.
And then as far as question for Joe on that, you had said just recently that most burglaries happen during the day. Now, when you watch TV, it seems like, or you see these shows and stuff, it seems like people break in at night a lot in the dark, and the burglars are in the dark, kind of.
Yeah,
but now
TV
they're
shows.
not doing that as much. Or is was that never the case? That's just something
most burglaries take place during the day because that's when most people work. Now, there's some people that work different shifts, afternoons and evenings, but during the day, and usually what they'll do is they'll go to your front door and they'll knock. And if no one answers, and they go around to the back of the house and try to find a way they can get in without anybody seeing them. And if you answer the door, they just say, is Tom Johnson here? And you're just like, no, Tom Johnson lives here. And then they just move on to the next house. So if you get a knock at your door and someone is asking for somebody you've never heard of before, you should probably call 911 and have an officer come out and see who that person is and what
just check it out. Yeah. That's a question I'll have for Joe when we get back. But as far as, can you overcall the police?
How they don't like that.
Because is there people that are so sensitive or maybe scared of everything that they call, and it's just there's no reason to call. But we can talk about that when we get back. I had a question about that. So Zach Roux, Premier Group, 763-515-1335, and the benefits of having a security system on your home. And then Joe Trout with Peacekeepers, and Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Josh Roueche, Remax Advantage Plus.
This is the Stockwell Roueche Show, Sundays 10 a.m., AM 1280 The Patriot, and we'll be back.
Christmas carols by candlelight. Please come home for Christmas. Please come home for Christmas.
You guys give up or you're thirsty for more?
Only if all criminals were like those guys on Home Alone. That'd be kind of easy, wouldn't it? You could all.
I was kind of zoning out there. I was watching the TV thinking
that was Home Alone, right?
At least those guys are funny.
Yeah, they're funny, and they, your kid can handle them. And
I'd have those guys over.
So we're back. You're listening to the Stockwell Roueche Show. Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Josh Roueche, Remax Advantage.
Safety, security, your home. Joe Trout, police officer. Zach Roux, insurance agent. And next week, we're going to be talking about taxes. It's a great subject, a fun topic we all love. And some of the things that the government and Congress are going over right now as far as they're trying to do. The home mortgage interest deduction, the exclusion of gain from the sale of your primary residence, which has been in place for quite a while, depreciation of real estate for real estate investors. Those are some things that are on the table that we need to talk about, have someone talk about, and then educate people on as far as what you can do to contact your local congressman or representative to talk about that. So that'll be next week, taxes. So Joe, before we left, can you overcall the police? Is it possible to be one of the paranoid people out there that says, everything,
You can overcall the police, but you have the right to call the police. And some people, believe it or not, we'd get calls that people's refrigerators weren't working, their microwave stopped working, and they'd call the police. So we try to educate. We try to educate people what they can call the police about. And then, of course, there's people with mental health issues, and we'd get calls of burglaries, and we'd get there, and they'd say that someone's putting stuff in their food and in their shampoo and stuff. But I actually had a call of a gentleman who called to report a burglary. And I got there, and his house was very neat. And usually the house's drawers are open and stuff is turned over and stuff. And so I asked him what was taken. He said nothing was taken. And I said, well, how do you know someone was here? And he says, well, I'll show you. I said, well, how did they get in? He goes, I don't know. I said, well, were your doors locked? And he said, yeah. And he said, when I came home, the doors were locked. And I said, well, how do you know someone's here? He goes, come here, I'll show you. So we went down to the basement, and he took me to the bathroom in the basement and showed me the toilet, and someone had used the toilet. And I said, okay. And he said that, I want a police report. Someone broke into my house. And I said, well, how do you know that? He says, because I don't use this bathroom down here. And I said, and he goes, I live alone. I said, do you have any friends or family that have ever been over to your house? And he said, yeah, I had some friends over a week or two ago. And I said, one of them probably used your bathroom. Oh, absolutely not. I would have known. And so and he insisted that I take a police report. And I said, for what? He said, because someone broke into my house. So I wanted to clarify with him. I said, so you want me to take a report that someone broke into your house, went downstairs, used your restroom, didn't take anything, and then they locked up behind them.
And forgot to flush.
Yeah, technically, they did take something.
Yeah, it was an
They left
emergency.
something,
Yeah, they did.
So
that's
you get calls like that.
That's
and-
really creepy.
But on the flip side of that, you get calls that are really great that people did call and talking about neighbors. We had a call of an elderly gentleman who the neighbor across the street saw two young men knock on his door that they'd never seen before, and it looked like they kind of forced him into the house, and the gentleman was in his late 80s. And so we arrived. As the squads were arriving, I went around to the back of the house. A couple squads went to the front of the house, and I catch one of the young guys running out of the back of the house and take him into custody. And they had taken another guy into custody, and there was actually a third one. And we had a canine dog go through the house and found the third suspect hiding underneath the car. And this gentleman was almost beaten to death.
Wow.
Just to take his property.
Who called it then?
The neighbor. And that's
Really?
why I said it's so
Wow.
important to know your neighbor. The neighbors knew that these people did not belong in his house and that he would not let anybody in.
I'm starting to see more of that where it is the senior citizens or older people that
Yep.
are the ones getting taken advantage of
Yep.
because they're the, like you
Yep.
said, the easy prey. I think Zach said that as far as if you call it prey, but they prey on or take victims that are easier to fight,
So
right?
they're not going to pick on some big burly guy like Roueche over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Big and burly.
it's pretty easy to tell who the elderly people are in the neighborhood. They usually take better care of their property. Their grass is usually cut perfect.
Yep.
Their shrubs are perfect. They're and they have little doily things hanging in the window and stuff. I mean, you can just kind of tell, and then you can see who you got a 4x4 that's jacked up 6 inches in the part. It's got big gun stickers all over. That's probably not the person you're going to burglarize.
Yeah. So they're thinking when they go after someone, they're thinking about what they're going to do and who's an easy target. I see these videos on Facebook where people are carrying their phones and someone snatches them and runs and or hits them in the head and then runs. Or
there was the pregnant lady that was just kicked, drop kicked, and while she was
Dropped
holding
her baby.
she was holding her baby and just to take her phone.
ridiculous. I mean, that's the stuff like you look at and you're like, what can we do to prevent that? I mean, how can how do you prevent?
I think it
people
starts
from,
at the home. It starts at the home with the parents. I really do. I believe in that.
And unfortunately, if you have a nice cell phone or you have nice headphones, Beats headphones or whatever, you need to be aware of what's going on around you.
Your surroundings, right.
And when I do the concealed carry classes, I talk a lot about pay attention to who's around you. Don't be texting and talking on your phone. If you're walking down the street or on public transportation, pay attention because there's people out there that are looking to victimize you.
And you're holding your phone out, and that's when they're grabbing. When you're distracted with a text, looking down, and then they can grab it. Or a guy was at a restaurant I saw, and a guy had his wallet sitting on the table because he just paid his bill, and someone just ran by, grabbed the wallet, and ran.
Well, and people do that with phones, too. Don't leave your phone on the table.
Yeah.
People just run by and they'll steal your phone.
Well, you can bait them. I always leave my
Right.
phone on the table because I want a challenge.
Yeah, right.
I don't think anybody's going to take your phone.
But and there's some really times like catching those guys who assaulted that elderly man. That was great. And then I had another time a gentleman called, said that he thinks someone broke into his house. He came home from work early, saw the back door standing open a little bit, saw a bike laid up against his porch, but he saw another kid go down the alley on a bike, and he says, I think he gave us a description and stuff. So when I arrived, he gave me a full description of what the kid on the bike looked like, and I'm giving this out to the other officers. I thought, I never checked the house. I should check the house. And so I walk into the house, and I walk into the kitchen area, and I draw my firearm, and all of a sudden I see a guy coming up the back stairs there out of the basement.
Oh, my gosh.
And he was not the same race as the homeowner. So, and he's carrying a pillowcase, and you can tell it's full. I mean, just like in the movies, he was wearing gloves, and he didn't even see me. He's halfway up the stairs, and he doesn't see me till I start ordering him down to the ground. And he starts telling me, I live here, and all the pictures on the wall are of the guy's family, and there's nobody of that race and that lives there, and all the way, even as I'm taking him out past the homeowner, he tells the homeowner, tell him I live here,
Huh.
They're trying to even intimidate you as they leave.
Wow.
So
because they're desperate. That's just
his hands caught in a cookie jar. He's got to try something.
Well, they'll try to the very end.
Right.
He's got a pillowcase. He could say it was trick or treating.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Now, Zach, you said before on break, real quick, on some of the stuff, personal items that people should insure.
Right. You know what I find is that an awful lot of people that have homeowners insurance policies have that policy mainly because their mortgage company requires it. They don't necessarily know what their policy covers and how much it covers. Typically, your policy is going to cover somewhere around $1,500 per item for things like jewelry, antiques, art.
So it's a good idea to make sure that you get those like appraisal on those to get
right.
those
You can
insured
get an
the correct
appraisal
way?
done and get those items scheduled separately. The main one is the woman's wedding ring. You like to get that scheduled separately. Not only will you have a lower deductible or no deductible on losses to that item, but when you schedule it separately, it will be covered for mysterious disappearance or loss.
Okay.
So you get separate riders for certain things. So
Correct.
Call Zach about that because that's a good tip because you may not be covered fully. Even it's non-burglary related, but sewer backup is one of the things I hear that's not naturally in your policy, but you got to add coverage for that. So I'd call Zach for that, 763-515-1335. Joe's story that he just ended with there, those stories, that's the stuff that gets the heart racing. If you imagine yourself in that position, you're a police officer, there's been a call, you see someone or hear someone coming up the steps, you know there's probably someone in there that's doing something wrong. You never know what they're going to be carrying or what's going to be happening. That's the reason why these police officers are trained over and over. That's why they have to have guns, because the bad guys have the guns and they have to defend themselves. I saw a video that I sent, and it was guys getting out of a car, immediately pulled over, and boom, they start firing at police officers. I mean, that's stuff that you guys have to be thinking about in the back of your head all the time, right?
Yeah, and people should be armed.
Oh, the citizen should be?
Yeah. If you're a law-abiding citizen, a lot of people think police officers don't want them armed, but we do want them armed. And I think all real estate agents should be armed.
If you go through the class with Joe at Peacekeepers, you can call Joe 612-290-1420. 612-290-1420. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Josh Roueche, RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Thanks again. Love yourself and love others.